to Fantastic History. I'm Clay.
I'm Sarah.
We're a husband and wife duo who enjoy telling each other about amazing events, people, and mysteries throughout history. Sarah, I got a bit of a short story today, so I hope you don't mind. In December of 1976, a film crew was shooting an episode for the TV show The $6 Million Man.
Great.
You may be familiar with that one. It's one of my favorites. I've never seen an episode, actually.
No, not at all.
At an amusement park in Long Beach, California. As they were rearranging props inside a funhouse, one of the crew members was moving a mannequin that was hanging in the gallows, and the arm snapped off.
Oh, dear.
Which seems fine for a mannequin, but obviously there's more to it than that. To everyone's horror, the exposed interior was not made of wood or plastic or anything like that. It was bone.
Oh.
Real human bone.
Uh-oh.
The mannequin was a skeleton mannequin.
But it wasn't a skeleton, like it looked like a person?
Well, let me tell you something. It wasn't a mannequin at all. No more than we are mannequins.
Right, but I'm saying it looked like a mannequin. It didn't look like a skeleton.
No, it looked like a man.
Oh my!
But it was in fact a mummified corpse.
Oh, okay.
The body was taken to Los Angeles coroner's office where it underwent an autopsy. It was discovered that the body had been fully petrified under layers of wax and paint.
Oh my God!
They discovered that this man had been shot in the chest, which was likely his cause of death.
Are you sure?
And they also discovered that he had tuberculosis.
Huh.
And the tests on the remaining tissue showed traces of arsenic, which was used in embalming until the late 1920s.
Weird.
Other details helped the investigators pinpoint his death to sometime in the 1910s.
And it's what year?
It's 76. But the most helpful hint came from the horse's mouth. Literally, inside his mouth.
Oh, I thought you were just like literally a horse.
Luckily, there was not a horse mummy there,
the
too.
horse mummy next door had a note from the killer.
No, it was in his mouth.
Okay.
Which is sick. A ticket stub to Louis Sonny's Museum of Crime.
That's really weird.
It was these leads and some other investigative techniques that helped them put a name to the corpse. A long-dead outlaw named Elmer McCurdy.
Interesting.
He had died in 1911.
Oh my God. But,
you may be wondering, what happened in those 60 years that took him from an undertaker in Pawhuska, Oklahoma, to a prop in a California amusement park?
It is a pretty unlikely...
It's weird.
Series of events.
It's really weird, right?
Yeah.
Well, Elmer was born on January 1st, 1880 in Washington, Maine. His early life was pretty tumultuous because he was born to an unwed teenage mother and raised believing that his grandparents were his parents.
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
Yeah, it isn't like too crazy uncommon, but it created a resentful and rebellious youth.
Yes, it will do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In his youth, Elmer bounced between jobs. He was a miner, a laborer. He was said to be bright but restless.
Okay.
And he drank a lot.
Sure.
In 1907, he joined the U.S. Army and was assigned to the Army's Machine Gun Corps. It was here that he learned how to use nitroglycerin.
Oh.
Which is going to be relevant later.
Uh-oh.
After his discharge in 1910, McCurdy drifted to Oklahoma and joined up with a small gang of train and bank robbers. Which is perfect.
That's amazing.
In one incident, McCurdy and his partners attempted to rob the Iron Mountain, Missouri Pacific train, expecting to find thousands of dollars in cash in a safe. McCurdy used nitroglycerin to blow the safe open, but instead blew the safe up.
Oh, no.
And this caused most of the silver coins inside to either be destroyed or melted, so they were able to, get less than a hefty sum off that train.
Elmer.
And he would use explosives in other heists, and it would prove not to be a very reliable method of robbing. But his final heist came in October 1911. Their plan was to rob a train containing $400,000 in cash, which was a payment to the Osage Nation.
So $400,000 like in 1911 money?
I think so.
That's insane.
I could be wrong, but I think so.
Oh my God.
Unfortunately, they robbed the wrong train.
He's not good at this, by the way.
They robbed a passenger train where they got away with $46, some whiskey, and the conductor's watch.
Significantly less valuable.
Yes. Elmer separated from his crew and went on the run and holed up in a hay shed near the Kansas border. There he was sick with tuberculosis, which he had gotten from his work in the mines.
Sure.
So he laid low and he drank the whiskey that he had stolen.
Yeah.
But unbeknownst to him, a newspaper had reported on the heist, calling it the smallest robbery in the history of train robbery.
That's so embarrassing.
It really is. Poor guy. And a $2,000 reward had been put on his head.
Good Lord.
So on the morning of October 7th, 1911, 3 deputy sheriffs tracked McCurdy to his shed, and after a brief gunfight, Elmer McCurdy was killed by a gunshot wound to his chest while he was lying down.
That's weird.
Because I'm assuming he was probably still under the effects of alcohol at the time.
Yeah, sure.
Just got interrupted.
Right.
So he was 31 years old.
Dang.
So, now the story really begins. McCurdy's body was taken to a funeral home in Pawhuska, Oklahoma, but since no one came to claim him, the undertaker decided to embalm the body using that arsenic-based preservative. And what this preservative did was it really preserved the body.
I guess so.
Obviously. But then he did something else. Because it was unclaimed, he dressed it up in a suit, he placed a rifle in its hand, and he stood it up in the corner of the funeral home.
What the fuck?
And began charging visitors a nickel to see what he called the bandit who wouldn't give up.
I respect the showmanship, honestly.
They were crazy back then.
They did not give a shit about anything. They had no TV and no internet. So when you like see people online asking like, what do people do all day before they had like TV and internet? Shit like this.
Yeah.
They would just look at dead bodies.
It was very interesting.
Good old days.
So his body had started to mummify and harden. Mm-hmm. And he became kind of a local curiosity.
Yeah.
So for 5 years, he was there, taking nickels. I read one thing. I don't know if this was necessarily true, but it's too gruesome to not mention that they paid for it by putting a nickel into his mouth.
Oh, that's really sick.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just gross.
It feels true.
It's gross.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, 2 men showed up claiming to be McCurdy's long-lost brothers to take the body. But these men were not his kin.
Shocking.
They were carnival promoters. So McCurdy's body became part of the traveling sideshow of the Great Patterson Carnival Show.
Wow.
So throughout the 1920s and the 1930s, Elmer McCurdy's corpse traveled the countryside, along with other unfortunate souls to be gawked and laughed at by the crowds.
Yikes.
At one point, his arm was ripped off by an employee.
Oh my God.
And was used to chase around a secretary.
I love him.
It's just terrible.
I love him.
And the real story of the mummy bandit had become folklore at this point, because no one, I don't even know if if they knew who he really was when they purchased him. But because no one really knew who he was, he could be anybody. You could make up any story you wanted.
Sure.
He was at some point purchased by Louis Sonny for his traveling museum of crime, alongside wax replicas of Bill Doolin and Jesse James.
That's really weird.
I'm not even sure if the employees knew that this was a real human.
Oh, that's actually a really good point. Okay. Yeah, no, that's good.
They may have known. They may have thought he was a amazing sculptor.
Sure.
I don't know. But in 1933, he was put in the lobby of a movie theater as a promotion for the film Narcotic.
Wow.
It was apparently an exploitation film about the dangers of drugs, and it was sort of like, don't become like this poor soul
God.
In 1933, I don't know what the drug of choice would have been. Don't do opium, kids. It's not as glamorous as it looks. Look what happened to this poor man.
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he continued to pass hands over the following years. In 1964, he appeared in the movie She Freak.
Oh, wow.
Which sounds like a very tasteful film.
Uh-huh.
In 1968, Sonny's son sold Elmer to the Hollywood Wax Museum. And he was on display at a show in Mount Rushmore. And here, he was further damaged during a windstorm when his fingers and toes were blown off.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Imagine seeing that going down the street.
I don't understand how this is happening. So, like, was he actually dipped in wax at some point, or is this all still the arsenic embalming?
I don't know exactly. I think that he was painted up at some point.
Sure.
Or at many points. But it doesn't really say.
Okay.
Not what I could find. I did know that they found his appearance to be quite gruesome.
Okay, yeah.
So he obviously wasn't like completely covered to the point where he didn't look like a real human. He didn't look like he was dipped in wax, a la House of Wax style.
Right.
So it might have been a mixture.
I guess if his fingers and toes are blowing off, like, there's probably not any sort of adhesive, like, wax encasing going on.
It appears that the appendages were loose.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. By the way, this is a gross episode.
No, it's great. I hope everyone is eating.
Finally, in 1967, he was sold to the owner of the Pike Amusement Park. He was painted in fluorescent orange and hung from a noose in the Laugh in the Dark funhouse.
If that doesn't make you laugh, for God's sake, what will?
And I just got to think how creepy it is that teenagers were going through the funhouse and they had no idea that the real dead body was hanging above them.
You're getting to third base while poor Elmer McCurdy is here, dipped in wax and bright orange paint.
His arm dangling off his body. His toes are gone.
No dignity.
There's ticket stubs in his mouth.
Probably still some nickels floating around in there.
Yeah, what a mess.
That's crazy.
But finally, we catch up with the story. Because then the show people showed up. They found the corpse. And after Elmer's true identity was finally rediscovered after all these years, it became nationwide news.
Sure.
His last 15 minutes of fame.
Aww.
He was finally laid to rest in Oklahoma in the Summit View Cemetery next to the outlaw Bill Doolin.
Oh, that seems nice.
Oh, nice. To ensure that he would remain at rest, 2 feet of concrete were poured over the casket.
Good Lord.
So finally, on April 22nd, 1977, 65 years after he died, Elmer McCurdy was finally laid to rest.
That's so wild.
It is.
That's so messed up.
It's messed up. It's weird. It's gross. It's also pretty strange that as a corpse, he really got around.
Honestly, though.
But that's the kind of weird stories that we're going to be telling for the next few weeks.
Well, I love that. I love Elmer. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some shorter episodes in the next few weeks for the summertime. So if you have any ideas on shorter episodes, maybe people that are strange, weird history, any fantastic history,
oh my God,
you can send us an email at fantastichistorypod@gmail.com. You can also check us out on Threads and Instagram. We're Fantastic H Pod on both. And we're also on YouTube. Just search Fantastic History Podcast and you'll probably find us. And make sure that you like, subscribe, review, rate this podcast so that we can get out to even more people. All right, folks. Until next week.
Bye.
Bye.